Good morning. Because this is going to be a reading from the book Attuned, I would just recommend to start off with that we do a few things. So state these out loud if you feel like doing this. I connect to my deep self. And as you notice the things that you say, just notice what happens when you say them. I connect to my higher self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I open myself to the healing power of the One. I let go of anything not useful to me now. I surround myself in a field of protection while I do this work. So again, today I'm going to be reading from the book Attuned, Practicing Interdependence to Heal Our Trauma and Our World by Thomas Hubel. And just before I start, I woke up this morning with some energies of despair. The energies of what's the use? We've done what we can. There's no point. Just let it run its course. They were not like what I would refer to as upbeat thoughts. And so I worked with them this morning, and I just was like doing an okay job, not getting too lost in the sensations that I was having, and yet allowing myself to kind of honor the, state that I woke up in. I did a few kind of functional things, like I boiled cat's chicken and I made them some sweet potato puree. It sounds like a gourmet cat household, which they do think of themselves as gourmet cats, and if you don't get it right, they just like, it doesn't smell quite right. I'm not going to eat it. And maybe we should all be more like cats. Okay. So we're in Part 1, Chapter 2, and the last video was somewhat of a description of the soul. And this section is entitled The Individuation Loop. The infant's urge to crawl begins as an impulse of curiosity, an expression of will. Following this instinct, the baby first gathers herself on 4 limbs and rocks back and forth. Soon she is propelling her body forward. Again and again, with each attempt to crawl, the baby's developing brain and nervous system are wiring the code for crawling into the structure of the brain and body. The neural framework for this new behavior descends throughout the body like the roots of a tree, embedding itself into form. As this structure becomes clearer and more concrete, more space, more room, if you will, is created in the body-mind. At the same time, the child begins inhabiting more space in the external world. She crawls a short distance from her mother and stops to look back. She learns in this way about space, the distance between, and also about time. How long does it take me to get back to mother? How quickly can I crawl away? The activity of crawling takes shape in a kind of rhythm. There is desire, movement, space, and repetition until crawling has become a learned competence. Once established, an opening appears for a new impulse and therefore new capacities to flourish. Soon the baby is standing up to walk and then to run. In this way, the baby, the new soul, is constantly learning about space, time, and rhythm, STR. Every process, every new learning, every new capacity has STR. If the mother is attuned to the baby, she will sense the child's space, time, and rhythm process and neither push the baby to learn too quickly nor hold her back when she is ready. STR is at the heart of the developmental process. Continuing our look through the mystical lens, we can think of the impulse or will of the soul as an energy that gets channeled into structure, becoming the three-dimensional realization of the body. As we learn and grow, new energy or information gets embodied in the form of new competencies. We learn to crawl, run, count, sing, write, lead, and so on, thus creating greater complexity and form. With each new competency we develop, more space is created for new growth, which allows us room to witness our growth, making it a conscious process. From there, new potentials become available to us, and the path begins again at a greater stage of complexity. This is the universal journey from impulse into embodiment into witness. The overall movement can be viewed as a looping of energy into structure, the essential dance of development. I refer to this dance as the individuation loop. Impulse into embodiment into witness. A looping of energy into structure, the essential dance of development, individuation loop. You and I and everyone we know are continuing the steps of this developmental dance even through adulthood. Each new stage of learning, growth, and witness makes space for new insight and inspiration to enter and for new capacities to be born. Now, when a child first begins to explore the world, he is following the soul's impulse to satisfy curiosity and freedom. The baby reaches out to touch or taste or look and comes back. Reaches out a little farther and comes back again and again. Reaches out and loops back. Each time, it's his curiosity that moves him outward to explore his environment. And it's the feeling of uncertainty or fear that draws him back. toward the safety and reassurance of the parent. Seek, return, seek, return, freedom, and belonging. This pattern is an expression of the looping rhythm, energy into structure. When a small child encounters something startling or scary in his environment, he runs back to the parent. Sensing the child's fear, the parent picks him up, caresses him, or otherwise assures the child that all is well, nothing to fear. In the process, the parent is reaffirming a safe container for holding and dissolving the child's fear. In this way, parents and caregivers directly assist their children's brains and nerve systems in the process of emotional co-regulation and eventually emotional self-regulation. As adults, we tend to think of fear as universally negative or destructive. Often, fear creates blocks in our subjective experience. This is the consequence of unmet anxiety, trepidation, and distress. Fear that has not been received in an adequate container of safety and reassurance. On its own, fear is an important emotional impulse, not just for survival, but for relation and connection. If the developing child's fear is consistently met with reassurance and safety, the soul experiences belonging and the body's neurological and emotional structure can easily grow and flourish. Healthy attachment helps generate interior and exterior coherence, plus something else, more space. Eventually, the impulse of curiosity propels the growing toddler out farther than before, and this time she doesn't feel afraid. When her father calls her back, she proudly resists. No. Again, he calls her back. Again, the child says no. By resisting or opposing the will of the parent, a toddler is asserting her own will. She is creating a brand new internal structure, a feeling of self, of me. She is individuating. The child is expressing a new desire for autonomy apart from the enmeshed cocoon of the parent-child relationship, where there's boundless safety but very little freedom. Through a new dance of resistance and opposition, the energy of the soul is beginning to crystallize the first structures of its interior dimension, the inner eye. It is only possible once the child has created enough healthy internal structure. Resisting or practicing saying no strengthens the structure and helps build autonomy. In order to jump, we need sturdy ground beneath us. Agency, anger, and resistance are important aspects of this developmental stage. Agency, anger, and resistance. I think that will be what I will read today. And I'll mark the page for tomorrow. And I wish you a day of spaciousness. And now must go.